Welcome to Tavern Tales. Today's tale, courtesy of Throwaway Custard 509. Am I the antagonist for telling my sister she's stupid and ruining our dad's life? I, 23 male, have two younger siblings, Anna, 21 female, and Chloe, 19 female. We've always been close. Our parents split up when I was 9, and our mom became pretty much a deadbeat. I've seen her maybe 5 times in the last 10 years. So my dad, 50 male, raised us, and it's pretty much always been us and him. Even after he started dating Fiona, 44 female, when I was 15. Our dynamics stayed mostly the same, and there were pretty much no issues aside from some adjusting. Chloe recently moved out after living at home for her first year at college, and a few months later, my dad announced that he and Fiona were engaged and going to get married. In my opinion, everyone expected this would happen since they were together so long, but Anna was very upset. She's been complaining to everyone about it for weeks, or mostly me. She says it's like he was just waiting for us all to grow up and get out of the house, so that he could move in his new woman and be a family with her instead. She also doesn't like that there's an almost 7-year age gap between them, because he and our mom were high school sweethearts, and our mom was actually a few months older, so she feels like her dad is replacing her with a younger model. Side note, she's never liked Fiona because she was still hoping my parents would get back together when he and Fiona started dating. Mom was less of a deadbeat then. Anna also thinks there isn't much passion between them, because every time she was over at our place, they barely touched and just treated each other like polite acquaintances since we were kids. She also doesn't see why he has to move her in before they're even married, because Fiona's financially well off and doesn't need the stability. She wants to be able to spend the summer with just our dad and us, without anyone else moving in yet. She told me the other day that she's planning on trying to set him up with one of her friends' single mom instead, who she feels is much more age appropriate and likable than Fiona, and whom she thinks he'd have more chemistry with. She's planning on telling him this weekend and wants me to back her up. I just lost my patience and told her to leave me out of this and that she's ruining his life by trying to set him up on some blind date as if he's a child. She started crying and told me all she wants is what's best for him because Fiona's the wrong woman and he's making a mistake. But I said, I don't see how this would help when he's already engaged and that she's being stupid. She called me an antagonist for being so harsh and hasn't talked to me since then. I admit part of me is also bummed that we won't have as much of my dad's time anymore and that things are about to change dramatically. So I wonder if I should have been more validating or supportive of Anna. But I just don't think our dad did anything wrong or that talking him out of this will do any good. Am I the antagonist? The main reason I'm second guessing myself is because I too would love another summer with just our dad. But I have my own place now, so it's not like I have nowhere to go if things get unbearable with Fiona here. I don't think they will. She's always let us kids do our own thing, so it's not that big a deal to me. I also do see where Anna's coming from about him and Fiona not being very romantic in front of us. Our parents were much more touchy-feely. I don't know if this means she's the wrong woman, or that, to be honest, since my dad doesn't seem to care. I don't either. I don't see her as another parent or anything, but we've personally never had a problem with each other, and I don't think Chloe does either. I do agree my dad deserves to whatever he wants to be happy at this point. This whole situation is reminiscent of parents disapproving and wedging themselves into their children's relationships. And their reasoning is that they, as a third party, know what is better for their children, in this case, the parents. However, I have to strongly disagree with that for most cases. Actually, I'm not sure why Anna would think that there isn't any chemistry between the dad and Fiona. The fact that they're together for 8 years is a testament to their compatibility. And not everyone's love language is physical intimacy. What do you think? And now, here's the first update. Thanks to everyone who shared all the advice. A lot's gone down, so I thought I should update. I tried talking to Anna once more about not doing this blind date thing, but she refused. So as folks suggested, I went and told my dad I had to warn him about something. Here's where I maybe messed up a bit. Fiona was there and maybe I should have said it privately, but there was no time. He asked what was wrong and I just couldn't get the words out, so I said it's about the engagement and that it was best he heard it from Anna. Well, of course he went to her room to get her. We all sat in the living room. Chloe was already watching TV there, and after some coaxing from him, she just exploded and started crying. It wasn't fair. Things were happening too fast. He just decided to get engaged without even consulting us, and we were just supposed to go along with it like we're still children. She said we never consented to our mom leaving us and had no say in them getting back together, so that we should have at least had a say in who he started dating next. Please note, this isn't what I personally feel. Anyway, my dad just looks shell-shocked. Seeing his face made me feel god-awful. He looked silently at Fiona. She suddenly burst into tears. This scared me because I've never seen her cry. My dad's rarely weepy and I've even seen him cry more. Dad held her hand and she just kept sobbing. I told you. I felt worse. One nice thing was Chloe got emotional to see this, so she actually went over and gave Fiona a hug. I felt like doing it too, but thought it'd be weird. My dad hugged Anna and said he was sorry he never realized how she felt. He said it's too late to set him up with anyone. I managed to have Anna add this. If he was going to be with anyone, it would be Fiona. But if this engagement was really hurting her, the two of them would talk about whether it can be postponed. He did say it's a done deal. She's moving in this summer though, since she's already ended her lease and made arrangements. Long story short, he arranged family therapy. Fiona actually suggested it and said she was willing to participate if it would help. I don't think I need therapy, but I think I'm going to do it just to help. Chloe agreed and Anna hasn't said anything since this happened, but I think that's a sign she's accepted it. Things were okay for the rest of the evening. Thank God no blind date. Dad asked if I was okay and thanked me for doing this. He said he was proud of me. I teared up. He and Fiona sat on the porch for the rest of the night with his arm around her. I'm honestly relieved. Things have been calm since then. Anna's still quiet, but at least she's not avoiding us or objected to therapy. The first one starts early July and he's booked it for just us four for now. Thanks for all the support, everyone. I'm really hopeful things will get better from now on. While it's true my dad never asked us for permission to date Fiona, I remember him saying many times that he was starting a relationship, and that his biggest hope was for us to be okay with it, and if not, he'd do whatever it took to help us get there. We weren't necessarily thrilled, but I know none of us had objected, though maybe Anna just didn't think it would stick, I don't know. I also don't think they should have to postpone the marriage, but if that's what everyone sees fit to do, I won't object. Just want to clarify, my dad and Fiona are still engaged. No one's called off or postponed the marriage yet, which I'm glad about. Postponing was just something my dad suggested in order to take more time to help Anna if it was needed. But they're definitely still getting married, and he made it clear he'd never marry anyone but her. I did make it clear during the whole confrontation that these were just Anna's thoughts and I don't share them. The dad is very mature and honestly a great parent. I can sympathize with both sides, however, it's even more clear to me that the dad deserves his own happiness more than anything. It's admirable to me how he would show restraint in not getting engaged in the 8 years together with Fiona because he was aware that it could cause potential drama in his family. And now for the last update. Hopefully, the last update. Once again, loss has gone down. I want to first say thank you again to everyone who sent support. Trying to deal with all this when I wanted no part in my sister's schemes has been exhausting. So, we had the therapy, 2 sessions so far. All 4 of us went, but as everyone expected, the therapist quickly figured that Anna had deep-seated issues and needed individual therapy too. So we've rearranged for family therapy to be bi-weekly, while Anna will go weekly. She's still been quiet outside of the sessions, but has cooperated. She cried some more talking about her mom and mentioned feeling betrayed that Chloe and I seem to get over it so easily. Side note, that's not true. I can't speak for Chloe, but I grieved over our mom's abandonment too. I just dealt with it differently. I internalized a lot, and I felt mostly angry at her, not yearning for her back. The therapy we had as kids helped me cope a lot. Although she's committed to continuing therapy, Anna went back to her place. I think it's for the best right now. We had a heart-to-heart before she left, and I told her that while I know she's still mad at me, I still love her and will always be there for her. She seemed to appreciate that. I can tell our relationship won't be the same, which sucks a bit because I've looked out for my sister since our mom walked out on us. But I know I did the right thing in telling her she was wrong with what she was doing to our dad and Fiona. Fiona's mostly all moved in, and to be honest, it's been nice overall. Some comments were misunderstanding my stance on her, so I want to reiterate, I've never had a problem with Fiona, and I never thought he needed any permission to date anyone. It was just enough for me that he was open with us about it. The reason I seemed indifferent before is because I was already 15 to 16 when I first met her and moved out only 2.5 years later. We didn't really bond then because she was very hands-off, which I was okay with. Back then, while I was 100% okay with my dad dating, I wasn't in the headspace to see any partner of his as a familial figure because of my mom's toxicity at the time. I was very introverted and only secure with my dad and siblings. But that was a long time ago and it's different now. She and Chloe started going shopping and getting their nails done, which is cute. I make omelets for breakfast and she praises them to the skies. And yes, we had that hug. It was when I was helping her with some of her boxes outside the house, and I just blurted out that I'm grateful she's still staying by my dad, and they deserve to be happy together. She was the one who got teary-eyed and pulled me into a hug and said she was grateful for me for going to bat for my dad and her. I'll admit, I got a bit emotional too. I know it's totally fine, I'll never see her as a parent, but in that moment, for some reason, I felt a protective instinct I usually do with my sisters. I don't know if that's normal or not, but it felt right. I'm going back to my place in a few days too. Not because anything's wrong, but I want my dad and Fiona to have their space. Chloe will still be home for the summer, but at least it'll be less crowded with just her. Others were confused why I wanted a summer with my dad, or seemed to think it was weird. We've always gone home for most or all of the summer during college. I work but graduated recently, so that's normal to us. I hadn't planned to hog my dad all summer. Thing is, I had a pretty rough breakup recently with my girlfriend of 4 years. There's no bad blood, but it had me a bit depressed, and my dad was really supportive and helpful, so more of that would have been nice. I wasn't comfortable yet discussing that private stuff with Fiona there. But I in no way need it to move on, and I'm more than happy and able to overcome it without him so he can chill with Fiona. Thanks to everyone who sent good wishes to me and my family. Hope there'll be no need for more updates. Although the story didn't quite end in a happily ever after like in fairy tales, I think it turned out quite well. Through the maturity of the dad and understanding with children, they were able to come to an amicable compromise. I hope the therapy will further amend their relationships, and I hope Anna can appreciate how sensible her dad has been and let him have the happiness he deserves. What do you think of this whole story? Let me know. And that's a wrap for tonight. Be sure to visit us next time. And if you want to, leave a like and subscribe.